I was thinking, this morning about kind of like, the software programmers. I was thinking about HR programmers. How do we use the data in that way so we can help leaders take those type of decisions when it comes to talent? To help leaders predict what type of workforce you're going to need, a gig worker, do you need a contractor? How long do you need it? Do you need a permanent employee, a part-time team?
Welcome! This is another Employee Experience Labs podcast from the Munich Podcast Studios. Employee Experience podcasts are about HR tech, employee experience, shared services, and other important topics around HR and the workplace. Today, we talk about predictions for 2024 when it comes to HR, tech, and employee experiences. I have asked leading HR, technology, and experience experts about their view of what is important in 2024 when it comes to HR, as well as what to watch out for. And in each of those episodes, you will learn from one of them what they have to share. We have recorded these sessions at the end of 2023 and will publish them throughout January of 2024. Today, I'm thrilled to share my conversation with Yojana, LATAM TEO Director at Netflix. As always in our conversations, Yojana and I were talking about learning and unlearning and what is important for us as HR practitioners in 2024. I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome, Joha. It's so great to see you again. It has been a while since we last spoke, but I will never forget what we've talked about learning and unlearning. So I'm excited to talk to you about predictions 2024, right? We are, as we record this at the end of 23, and when you, the listener, will watch our episode, it will be early in 2024. But I'm sure everything we talk about now will be very much applicable still. So, Joha, when you think about 2024, when you think about the world of HR, employee experience, and HR technology, what do you think will be the major influencing topics?
AI for sure. It's gonna continue to be that topic. Organizations want to perform more effective. They want to get the right talent to make it happen. They want to retain it. But how will AI affect industries in the short, in the long term? How do we decipher that? If we go to the latest on the World Economic Forum on future of jobs, they said that artificial intelligence is a key driver of potential algorithmic displacement. And it is expected to be adopted by nearly 75% of the companies that were surveyed, with 50% churn of organizations expecting it to create job and 25% expecting it to create job losses. So AI will definitely continue to be
State to transform.
Yes, exactly. The biggest equation. And how do we decipher that all along? Besides what people are expecting at work. And then AI is how do we govern AI? How do we do policies around that? Not only at the company level, but at government levels, all types of enterprises. And how do we retain talent? How do we adapt it? What do we do with it? To me, those are the key aspects that we have to continue to pay attention in 2024.
It's really interesting. Hey, when we think about just 1 year back, AI was still nowhere to be seen. ChatGPT was just out 18 days a year ago. And we didn't think about it. And now, a year later, it has transformed a lot already in 23. And now for 24, there's more to come. I think this will really be the continuation of the topic to watch. Other topics, think about the metaverse. A year ago, we talked about the metaverse. Where's this now?
Yes.
I mean, we both have glasses, but they are real glasses, not virtual.
Exactly. Well, it's interesting because the World Economic also moved from the last survey. It was 47% that they were going to do automation, and now it's lowered to 42% of organizations being capable to go that fast. So back to our conversations. Where is the metaverse right now? I think that
Yes.
there are definitely some technologies that are going to stay for good
Yeah.
and will develop around them, and
Yeah.
others that will come and go.
Come and go. And AI is here to stay. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
it will be really interesting. You mentioned it, right? The US has already, President Biden has already released guiding notes around AI, and the EU has just
exactly.
earlier, no, late last week, it was actually late last week, also announced their first idea of guidance that goes through the governmental bodies in early of 2024. So there's a
Yeah,
lot to govern, but I think this makes sense, right? Because AI is in so many ways truly connected to sensitive data, and particularly for us, sensitive HR data. So when thinking about AI and data, I think regulation is truly necessary so that it keeps
yeah,
in the right in the right guiding lines, and we are not seeing any abuse of our data. But I
exactly.
think data is a big topic, and let me ask you if you have already experienced this. But what I see is that um, a lot of mistakes that we did also in HR in the recent years around data are now coming really to life. You know, data were not really taken care of, and partially, data, not sensitive data, but data that not everyone should maybe see, right? Is available in places where suddenly AI finds it and AI makes it transparent. So I think this is AI is also a lot about reinvigorating a data strategy within your firm and making sure that the data that you have are not only right and high quality, but also only available to the people that should have access
Exactly.
to them, right?
And that's a very good point. I was reading about it's called the culture partners. They wrote
Mm-hmm.
an article and they mentioned about the new way of monitoring
Mm.
employees. I'm sure you've heard long time ago, companies, especially if employees were doing or are doing hybrid or remote work, some of
Yeah.
these tools monitor your activity. It feels like you're looking at me, you don't trust me, you're not giving me autonomy. So there's weird relationship with the employer and
Mm.
the employee. But AI is this silent, you know, uh, technology that sees and captures feedback from
Yes. Yes.
emails, from chats. So it's powered technology to listen
Mm.
anonymously to what we're saying. If we feel happy. So the whole thing around thinking that this technology
Yeah.
can catch words of how
Yes.
you're feeling at work, it's very interesting. And how do we do
And
that? How do
catch.
we manage that?
Yeah, yeah. Catch intention of your words, right? And make this transparent. This is a new level of understanding data and interpreting data also for someone else. So this is definitely something to watch. But let's talk closer about this. When you think about AI, when you think about data, when you think about your view of 24, um, what do you think does this mean for our colleagues in HR? What do we need to think about? Maybe they're learning, they're unlearning. What do we need to think about them working different than today?
I I think there's a few things, Volker, that we need to take into consideration. And first is all this technology also helps us take into consideration, again, what are people thinking? So how do we
Mm,
design solutions from an employer perspective? We have more tools now to be able to capture what people
mhm.
are thinking
Yeah.
and then what are they expecting. Uh, One of the things that when organizations think about, I need to be more, of course, more efficient and so on, and reach the goals and all of that.
Mm,
Well, there's people around that, and how do you combine people's purposes also with the organization, and how do you
mhm.
listen to all of that? How often you do that to be able to understand your workforce, that at the end of the day is the one that you need at a very high level in motivation
Yeah.
to do the work that you need to, as a whole. So
Yeah.
I think that that's one thing that changes the whole thing of how we communicate
Mm-hmm.
between employer and employees, and
Employee.
how
Mm-hmm.
good we do that, how often we do it, and how
Mm-hmm.
much we take advantage of that information that we gather, that data that we gather from employees. Um, I think it also helps to build different type of solutions to different workforce. Um, Sometimes it is thought that only new generations, need to adapt to technology. Everyone needs to. I mean,
Everyone. Yeah.
I'm 50 years old, and I am thirsty for
Yeah.
understanding
Yeah.
technology, and I have a purpose, and very interesting. I was also, capturing data this year and reading
Yeah.
about how we women feel in front of work after COVID. It's a huge workforce. What are our
Mm-hmm.
workforce thinking? What are
Yeah.
women
Yeah. Yeah.
thinking towards work? So I think
Yeah.
that communication is changing how we
Mm-hmm.
do that, and how we make sure that the talents that we have are
Mm-hmm.
at their best to be able to develop to deliver what we're looking for in each of organization.
Mm-hmm. Good
The other
one.
aspect
Yes.
is um, how are people, working between maybe 100% going to the office, hybrid, remote, and what does that mean? And
Mm-hmm.
how do we create the right solutions, environments for all of these workforce? It's like all of these descriptions of
Mm-hmm.
your people are in their journey in their organization. How do you engage them is not enough anymore.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you develop them? So
Yeah.
it's I think that's where my mind is when I think about 2024, and how do we combine all of that technology, that
Mm-hmm.
data that we have, what workforce are looking for, and how do you bring all of that together and
Mm-hmm.
design the best solutions for your employees.
Yeah, and I think AI can really, help us understand and make use of AI, right? When I think about the solutions that are already, thought through when it comes to talent development, when it comes to better understanding, what skills do you have? What careers are possible with that? Where could be a good next step experience, right? These are topics that today a manager struggles with sometimes with their employees, right? And even HR struggles because they don't have time to support everyone.
Yeah.
And now you have you have AI in HR to help facilitate these kind of conversations as well,
Hmm.
right? So
Yes.
AI to make better use of AI is really a theme
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
And it's be able to predict, to help leaders predict what type of workforce you're going to need.
Yeah.
A gig worker? Do you need a contractor? How long do you need it? Do you need a permanent employee, a part time team? How
Hmm.
do we use the data in that way so we can
Hmm.
help leaders take those type of decisions when it comes to talent?
Yeah.
And it
Facilitate
is
the
because
process. Mm.
facilitate the process exactly. But and I was thinking this morning about kind of like the software programmers. I was thinking
Hmm.
about HR programmers. I was like,
Hmm.
we digest all of this data, and we help build programs that
Hmm.
adjust to people. So this is why us as colleagues in HR learning all the time, it's definitely
Yeah.
a must. People change um their desires, what is it that they're looking for, and so we need to be able to like you say, facilitate those processes with
Hmm.
leaders and be able to read that, learn along
Hmm.
with people on how to design for those solutions, and put that on the table for organizations.
Yeah, I think there are two topics around this AI. On one hand, as you said, HR programmers. So the colleagues in HR need to learn to use AI to bring new solutions to the table. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, we are the facilitators of AI in the organization, right? Because again, our technologies, our applications, they touch everyone, and we're the only ones who touch everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So with that
Mm-hmm.
comes also the obligation to make sure everyone understands what AI is and what it isn't, so that
Mm-hmm.
there's not
Mm-hmm.
suddenly like a black box coming to them, but
Exactly.
also to embrace it in their jobs, in their daily activities,
Mm-hmm.
and in their function.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big,
And
big job.
yes, and we have to do it in a way, Volker, that it gives people the path to be able to take decisions,
Yeah.
and be able to give them boundaries, but flexible enough for the organization to be able to respond.
Yeah.
And so how do you build those policies and those boundaries again, where you
Mm.
set, when you give people a set of guidelines to be able to keep up, and for organizations to be able to keep
Mm.
advancing. And like you said, our technology touches everyone throughout their journey in the organization. That's pretty special, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for HR, but it's also a big responsibility on how fast we can learn about all of this.
Absolutely. And thinking about this further, when you think about all of this, when you think about the applicability to all employees, how do you think AI will improve the end user experience?
I think that with the data that AI can generate,
Mm-hmm.
um, we first can liberate HR to do other strategic tasks.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that we have looked for the most. And you and I, we have lifted, even in the same organization, how much we knew that we could do with technology
Yeah.
and with those tasks that are,
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
repetitive ones. So that's one thing
Yeah.
that we need to continue to look for in this type of technologies. What
Yeah.
is really taking space out of our
Yeah.
strategic agenda?
Yeah.
The second thing that we just talked about is what can we provide leaders and employees in the organizations to be able to catch up on skill sets?
Mm.
What type of upskilling do we need to do in the workforce, and how can we do that? How can
Mm.
we help the talent development and learning teams to be able to create those programs? Where are we? How far are we in those
Mm.
in that type of journey, in organizations? So I think that skills based organizations
Mm.
and the level of potentials in organizations,
Mm.
that data to me it's gold,
Yeah.
because everything is around talent, and you've heard,
Yeah.
that we're all striving for that. How to support all generations that I just mentioned. This is not only about the new generations. We're not having more children these days. We're getting older, and so we need to make sure that
Psst. We don't need to
everyone.
tell anyone.
Yeah, I know, older, but lots of energy. But so we need to be able to understand that we are bringing less children into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do that? How do we make sure that
Yeah.
all generations, we capture their needs at the level that they are? We take the best out of the different generations, and we
Mm.
continue to serve for them.
Yeah.
On aging employees, well, we
Yeah.
have the advantage of technology, training, flexible work arrangement, part timers. What do we
Mm-hmm.
need
Mm-hmm.
to be
Yeah.
able to for organizations to continue, and what type of
Mm-hmm.
talent do we need, programs do we need to build?
Yeah.
Compensation, it's another aspect that has even taken a corporate social responsibility for some
Yeah.
organizations,
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of how do we make sure that is fair enough, and what type
Mm.
of data do we have to be able to write to build those parameters, where
Mm.
talent and equity
Mm-hmm.
is solved for.
Yeah.
So I think that those analysis will that AI technology will definitely benefit organizations and employees in these aspects.
That's a very interesting aspect, Joanne. Honestly, I have not yet read or seen it anywhere, but it's truly a case, right? How can we make use of technology, particularly AI, to prolong your work engagement, to push out retirement, to enable the utilization of the wider workforce? That's a really interesting topic, and that
Mm-hmm.
will be something really interesting to watch throughout 24. What
Yes.
advancements can be made there? Very, very interesting thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that just as much as we are discovering the potential of technology, and of course, it has been happening for a lot of years, but we're more aware of it now. Now we
Yeah,
know because now we're being communicated of how
mm,
these technologies can actually get to that individual
yeah,
level and how we
yeah,
can learn about them. But it's also about the potential of people. This is a great
mm,
opportunity, and I know that it's scary for some people. It's like, what am I going to do? This is what I've done all my life, and how am I going to learn that? But just as much as we have people and our mind looking after all of the potential of these technologies, the potential that we have as human
yeah,
beings, it's
yeah,
huge. So
yeah,
I think we need to also, help people think about that. If you think that you have done this so far in your life and this is the way that you have behaved, you also
mm.
have potential.
There's
And
more.
so
There's
I
more you
think
can
that,
do.
that be able to do that with this
Yeah,
technology and show
yeah,
people about that will
yeah,
be key. Yeah.
yeah. That's absolutely, Johar. And I think we have a good foundation for this, particularly again in the HR space, right? Because we have, we didn't have the most modern technologies in AI, but when we did our HR transformations towards shared services, we
Yeah.
did the same, right? We took the administrative part that now an AI can do, we took it away from the business partner into the shared
Hmm.
service center. And suddenly the business part, they needed to
Yeah.
redefine. So what am I doing now every day that I can't do my transaction work anymore that I have done for the last 20 years? So we
Hmm.
have as a function a good strategy already how to deal with it also in the wider workforce, which I think we need
Hmm.
to apply here.
There's another thing, Volker, I think that we need to consider, and it's the fact that there are times in people's lives where you need a human being to be present.
Yes.
And I have seen, heard, and experienced that in different journeys in organizations, interview processes, where there is so much that you can do with technology, but how do you balance? Where does it make a difference to
Mm-hmm.
have someone,
Yeah.
meaning a human being, on the other side to capture
Yeah.
that other human being? So yes, we're
Yeah.
all thriving in this technology, and we all want to get
Yeah.
there. But I also think that is, how do you balance that out? Because
Yes.
you hear it in different conferences, you hear it in people, sometimes feeling frustrated that they get into, go through an organization or through a service, and all you get is AI. It's like, when am I going to get a human being? So I
Yes.
think that's also very important. There is so
Absolutely.
much that technology can do,
Yeah. To
and there
free up
is
that
also,
space in the human. Yeah. No,
exactly, to
absolutely.
be able to
Absolutely.
make connections with people. It's not about the process, but it's about the connection. How do you engage
Mm.
that person to make a connection with you? So I think it's also a key aspect for organizations to take into consideration in their recruiting, onboarding, and
Mm.
development processes for employees.
And I think, Joha, this is a nice note to end the predictions. Connections, human connections for 24, despite all the
Hmm.
technology, or in addition to the technology, is what we need to strive for, is what we need to keep going as a function.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful talking to you, and a very, very interesting conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
I did always.
Good. So thank you so much, Joha. I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful start into 2024, and I hope we speak soon.
Thank you. Same to you, Volker. Thanks for the invitation. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.